Well, spring has sprung in California, as you can see, and just in time for us to finish up Toby and Dawn's 392. Just when you think you've built the best 392, then you build another one, you fall in love with that one. So this is a 22. Once again, has the Rockside Engineering electric steps with the extra skid plate on top, you know, ready to go to the Rubicon. And they are taking this directly to the trail. Underneath, we did the full MetalCloak skid plates with the WFO long arm, front and rear, 4.5-inch lift with King shocks, 2.5s with clickers. And of course, can't go wrong, 40-inch Nittos with the black Hutchinsons, which is awesome. DOT approved, double beadlock, tow it behind your motorhome, wheel it, have a great time. For the front fenders, again, we just hollowed out the front fenders and did the American Adventure Labs inner fenders, powder coated black. As you can see, the theme on this is grays and blacks, nothing obnoxious, no chrome, nothing standing out. Got the King shocks with the clickers right here, easy to adjust. Got our WFO track bar brace on this one, which we have now modified slightly so that right here where my fingers are, we took out one of the ribs so that we've noticed that the coils do bow and change when you're on the trail. It gives you a little bit more room so the coil doesn't scrape on the track bar brace. Coming around to the front, this is where it really gets cool, and this is where it stands out from some of the other builds. So this is the Motobilt front bumper to accept the Warn 8274 winch. Bring some of that old classic CJ style and badassness from Warn into the build. I mean, it does not get better than this winch. Synthetic rope, sunk down pretty low, so it's not blocking the grill as much as you would think it would. Baja Design Squadron Pros sunk into the front bumper and very cleanly hooked up to the factory fog light switch. So this doesn't have an S-Pod or a Switch Pro or anything in it, because that's hooked back up to the fog light switch. As we get around to some of the other lights, we'll explain how those are put in. But with this front bumper comes a huge frame chop, which means you get rid of your electronic sway bar disconnect that comes with the factory Rubicon model. The good news with that is it doesn't hook itself back up after 20 miles an hour anymore, because we have the RockJock Antirock sway bar in here. So no more buttons to push when you go four-wheeling. It's kind of a mix of soft and stiff. Still drives great on the highway, especially with the King 2.5 clickers. If you don't want body roll, you could just turn the clickers up, but it really doesn't body roll at all. I've been ripping around the corners and I really like it. But this extra clearance here, the frame would stick down about another 6 inches with the factory skid plate protecting the electronic sway bar. So now you actually chop the frame off when you put this bumper on. The new sway bar is way up high. As you can see, you have a giant view of the front axle now on this and a ton of clearance. You know, I've been wanting to do this to the Shop 392 for a long time, and Toby and Dawn one-upped me and made me jealous, so I think it's time. But even though this is an awesome rebuilt new 8274, I'm gonna put a classic one on mine, so, you know, refurbished. So looking underneath here, we got Dynatrac axles front and rear in this one. 392, 470 horsepower. So we went with a XD60 front and the ProRock 80 rear. So ProRock 80, all that horsepower, you know, you can't go wrong. The Dynatrac axles are now coming with the Hydro Assist skid plate already built in, the mount for the Hydro Assist already built in, Yeti steering. Really makes it easy as the installer to put it together, you know, which leads into PSC Hydro Assist. So the 392 Hemi, what the heck, you know, we might as well show you under the hood. Not everybody gets to see, you know, what's under the hood of one of these things. So everything's stock with the exception of the PSC Hydro Assist reservoir, the little pressure canister. So basically we have to take the brackets off the block, add a belt-driven pump, longer belt, idler, everything comes from PSC. And then along with this reservoir pump kit, we end up getting a new steering box that's ported for Hydro Assist. PSC has been making leaps and bounds on creating drivability with their hydro assist kits. And the 392 is really important to have good drivability because it's still all-wheel drive. So big tires, all-wheel drive, tons of horsepower. You really have the ability to make the steering twitchy and loose and weird feeling. And what they've found is not to go super high on the pressures on the rams, and kind of control it inside the box with the small little valves that send the fluid to the ram. And what they've created is an unbelievable touch with hydro assist on 40s with all-wheel drive, ripping around windy roads. Not much to see over here on this side besides what's on that side. But while we're here, let me show you what we did do with the switches. So the 68.5-inch wide Dynatracs front and rear, coupled with the Hutchinson beadlocks, which are 4 3/4 backspacing, creates a really not too wide look, allows you to turn good, pretty good scrub center. But what this one has, which is unique on some others, we mounted the ARB compressor under the seat. So right here is where you would click in to pump up your tires, right underneath the seat. But these Dynatrac axles actually have air lockers in them. So right there on the dash, the button that says air, the factory accessory switch, you turn it on, turns on the air compressor, and then there's front locker and rear locker. So that's the only switches that have been hooked up inside the cab on this Jeep. Haven't taken any interior space with anything, haven't blocked any eyesight over there. And so air lockers front and rear in this Jeep on the air compressor, and you can pump up your tires. With our long arm kit, you can see right here, slight trim on the Rockside Engineering steps, and then we do trim the MetalCloak skid plate to fit our front control arm mounts and this rear bracket. Went ahead and powder coated the skid plates, our powder coat color of the long arm kit. On the 392s, in order to get proper front suspension geometry, which is a long upper and lower link, the upper bracket needs to move back on the frame, right interfering with the cats and the exhaust. So we make a one-day in-house modification where we slightly move the cats up and over about 1 inch, adjust the cross pipe, and then it's all still factory exhaust. So in the back, you can see the factory muffler and quad tips. The button still works on the dash to make it quieter performance sounding, and another Motobilt rear bumper with the factory backup sensors mounted in it, and then more Baja Design Squadron Pros. And these are actually wired into the tail lights, so you put it in reverse and it lights up. Little trick is do not tie the two together and go into one tail light. The CAN bus system can't handle that, so you definitely need to wire each light individually to the wiring on the backup lights, and it won't throw anything off with the CAN bus system. Right here in the back, we've been putting these on just about every Jeep. So this Jeep has the Mopar factory tailgate reinforcement, and this is our WFO ice chest rack and license plate relocation bracket, camera relocation, and we can also mount a gas can right here. 392s are thirsty. He doesn't have a gas can yet, but pretty clean, easy, works well. Don't mind this, I didn't strap the ice chest yet. We'll probably take it off before we drive down the freeway. Of course, color matched Yeti 65. One thing that I do have to mention is if you have this tailgate reinforcement hinge and you want to use our ice chest rack, you'll see we have a Delrin machine spacer that we use when we mount our rack, and you can still utilize that tailgate reinforcement. So we just came out with that. We sell that now for you guys that have a Jeep that has the reinforcement. So, I mean, totally clean. The grays, the blacks, the matching ice chest, so fun to drive. The other thing that I do have to mention is this has 488 gears in the Dynatracs. The shop one has 538s, and we did a lot of them with 538s. We find that these vehicles are so fun. You're constantly cruising at 80, 90 miles an hour. The 488s seem to work just a little bit better with the RPMs of the Hemi, the 392, and cruising down the freeway. It gives you that extra quarter mile per gallon of fuel mileage. But so 488s, 40s works well, we found. Anyway, I really hope you like Dawn and Toby's Jeep, because I do, and I don't want to give it back to them, and especially when we're out here, might have to hit some rocks with it real quick.